We've got a fun episode for you this week, and last Christmas we kicked off our Christmas season talking about some Christmas movies and some of our favorite movies, and we gave some good marriage advice based on those movies. And so we're going to kick off this year's Christmas season, and we're going to talk about those famous, or maybe you would call them infamous, Hallmark movies. So stay tuned. Hey, I'm Rusty.
And I'm Heather.
And we're the Bryants, and this is the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
We are here to encourage healthy marriages, strengthen wounded marriages, and begin the process of restoration to broken marriages.
We aren't licensed counselors, but we are a redeemed couple that loves the Lord and wants to help you journey through this messy, challenging, and fun part of life called marriage. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. This is Rusty and Heather Bryant, and we're glad to be back with you. We are excited about kicking off the Christmas season. We had a really successful series of episodes last year, and they all had to do with our favorite Christmas movies. We picked out, I guess it was 3 or 4 of our favorite Christmas movies. And we gave some marriage advice and marriage lessons based on those movies.
So much fun.
It was fun, and we actually had somebody that wrote into us this week and talked about that they had just listened to those from last year. And so I know that there's people out there that are still listening to those, and we really haven't prepared to necessarily do that for the next few weeks. But it is Christmas season, and so we did have a good response from those last time. So we thought that we would talk a little bit about one of Heather's favorite topics, and that's Hallmark movies. And if you've listened to us for any amount of time, you've probably heard us kind of joking about the Hallmark movies from time to time, because Heather is a self-proclaimed Hallmark pro. I don't know, what would you call yourself?
Yes.
You're a guru.
I am.
You're a Hallmark guru. And I, on the other hand, I can tolerate them, and I can be a very supportive husband from time to time and watch them. But I also enjoy bashing on them as well for obvious reasons. So,
what is a foodie?
A foodie?
A foodie. I mean, like, you hear that comment all the time. A foodie, is that somebody who's just like really, really passionate and loves food?
Correct.
So what would a Hallmark person be?
A hoodie.
That was not planned. That was not planned. But that was funny.
A hoodie.
Well, because when you said, what would you call yourself, foodie, and I was like, no, you dummy, that's for food.
All right. Hoodie. Well, Heather's a hoodie. But in all seriousness, if you like Hallmark movies, Heather can really help you out, because what's your Instagram? Your personal, not ours. Your personal Instagram.
I think it's just Heather B. Bryant.
Heather B. Bryant. That's 2 B's. 2 B's.
B as in boy.
B as in boy. Heather B. Bryant. So if you don't follow her, you can go follow her on her personal account, because she will actually give you reviews throughout the Christmas season she will watch the movies for you and then tell you whether or not she gives them star ratings.
Star ratings.
And
yes.
So that way it takes all the guesswork out of it. You don't even have to watch the movies unless you see a big 5-star, and then you're like, oh, Heather said watch it.
You know those things underneath your name on Instagram? I forget what they're called. Like the highlights. One of them is called Best Ever Hallmark Movies, and that gives you my top 5 ever, like forever. Mm-hmm. And then there's one highlight reel or highlight that is for 2022 movies only, and the ones for this year. Just
that is
more info.
That is so important for everyone to know. So,
and your marriage is better. You're welcome.
Yep. All right. Yeah, the guys are going, turn this off, turn this off. So, okay, two questions, and then we're going to get into this. So the first question is, why do you love Hallmark movies so much?
I
feel like I'm interviewing a hoodie.
That's
This is our first time to interview a hoodie on our podcast.
You have to say it like foodie, a hoodie.
No,
oh wait, that doesn't sound right either.
It's just a hoodie.
Just a hoodie.
Okay. All right.
I love Hallmark movies because they're happy. They always end well. People are happy. It's a great Christmas is my favorite time of year. But I mean, I know that there's Hallmark movies that aren't Christmas, but my favorite ones are Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah. You did make me watch something that wasn't Christmas. Maybe
yeah,
before
it was
Christmas.
a fall something. Yeah.
I
I was just preparing you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, those aren't my favorite either. Like Hallmark Christmas movies are the best, but I don't know. It just, of course, it's always snowing where they are, and it just just makes it feel like Christmas. And then the movies are just fun because they always they end happy and
Yep. So
it's predictable.
But do you? Man, you are really stealing some thunder here. Okay, do you watch them though with some envy?
You told me that you weren't going to ask me any hard questions on this one.
Well, that's not hard.
So if you haven't noticed, I have the crud. I sound like a tenor over here. And so I haven't felt great. And so my sweet husband was like, oh, I got this one. Just follow my lead. So I knew nothing about this episode before he started talking.
Well, I didn't want to tell you what we were going to talk about because it would have been like all roses and unicorns talking about, and that's not what we're about to do. I'm fixing to bash on some Hallmark. No, I'm just kidding. I am a little, but go ahead.
Do I watch them with envy? Of relationship? No. 100% no, because it's fake. Of surroundings and snow and all the fun making cookies and all that, probably a little bit. I'm just being a little honest.
Okay. Well, because I know that, this is totally not the same thing, but I know that, a lot of times females can get caught up in, romance novels and stuff, almost to a point where it can be, I hate to say it this strongly, but almost a form of pornography, I mean, that's strong.
Yeah,
but
that's strong.
But romance novels are trashy sometimes
yeah,
too. But they, you hear about women just getting lost in this fantasy world of wishing that their husband or their life was like that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I was just curious if that's a danger.
No, I mean, absolutely. I think it is. I think it's a danger. But I will say that I think just because I've done a lot of heart work on that the grass is not greener somewhere else, that just, I don't fall into that temptation as much. But I definitely think that you can. And I probably did, a long time ago. But I mean, honestly, I'd love to be able to say, because that would probably help your point a little bit more. But I'm just saying, for me, I just feel like I've done a lot of heart work in that area. But I definitely think it's a temptation. You have to remind yourself it's fake.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not real.
Okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give some observations.
Okay.
About Hallmark movies. 4 negative and 4 positive.
Okay.
These are observations that can relate to your marriage and why Hallmark movies can be negative and why they can be positive.
Okay.
So,
are we going to get sued after this podcast?
For what?
By Hallmark.
Yeah, well, if Hallmark's listening, we'll bring them on as our next hoodie guests. Okay, so here's our and you've already actually said a few of these words, which is really weird because we haven't talked about this at all. But We'll just do all the negative ones first.
Okay.
So the 4 negative
Let's
ones.
go.
So the first one is just that it's not reality. I mean,
That's
so
true.
so you can watch a Hallmark movie and everything is just too perfect. And I think that like I'm not necessarily bashing because we watch shows and we watch movies so that we can get sort of swept away and lost in this, in a it's not reality.
Sure.
But I do think that it paints this picture that nothing can
Right.
live up to that.
That's right.
And you even mentioned, it's always snowing.
Yeah.
I mean, the settings, the little towns,
They wake up with makeup on.
Yeah, it's just, so
Their children never argue. They always say yes, ma'am.
right. Right. So
you
there's
didn't mean to
just
keep going?
No, that's it. But that's exactly it. And I think that if you're not in a good place, you can get stuck watching that going, why isn't my reality like this?
Yeah. And I'm going to give you another thought about that because I actually had it a couple of nights ago. This couple got into a little bit of a tension spot and it just ended. And then when the commercial came back, it was the next morning. I thought, well, now isn't that fascinating? I wish I'd known how the rest of that went.
Maybe that's how we need to start teaching people to get out of tension is to have a commercial break.
Come back.
Time out. Let's have a commercial break. We'll see you tomorrow.
But I mean, it's just like, that's not, and it was a tension or a sadness where it's like, and I wonder how they're going to handle this. They went to a commercial.
So that would be one of the negatives or one of the observations that I guess would not be favorable to me towards a marriage because I think that people can, if you watch them, you need to know, especially if you're not married and you're thinking ahead and you're like, this is what marriage is going to be like. Yeah. Not really. Not really, not at all. Okay, so the second thing is they are so stinking predictable.
But that's why I love them.
I mean, everybody, that's part of a big, that's part of the running joke for anybody that makes fun of a Hallmark movie is that you can, within the first 5 minutes, you can predict and tell the plot.
And our boys are terrible at that when we watch it. They'll be like, oh, there's the guy.
Yeah. It's so obvious. But, even the ones that have, I would call them twists in some way. Like I figure them out all the time, but it's very predictable, and life is not predictable. No. Marriage is not predictable. Yeah. And so, again, we're just talking about an alter reality, but that, there's a little bit of that when you watch, everything is like this cookie cutter, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. And it just doesn't happen. That's not life. That's not real life. That's not real marriage.
Yep.
So.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
Like it.
Predictable. Too predictable. Another one that, this is kind of, I guess, all of them seem to be like this in some way, but they all start with the character or a main character, and they're trying to be something that they're not. Yeah. Like they're, they're chasing this dream or they're chasing this perception of who they think they should be, and then by the end they realize that's not who they're supposed to be. Yeah. And and again, these are not. It's hard for me to put all these in little categories. It's just I'm just making these observations because I feel like in marriage, we do a lot of people do exactly that. Like the beginning, they're living in the beginning of a Hallmark movie. Yeah, because they're trying to be something that they're not. Their heart's not really the person that they're trying to become. They're chasing after money. They're chasing after this status, this job, even this other, relationship. and they're chasing something that they're not really called to be that person. I don't know. You're looking at me like,
No.
That's a good thought.
It is.
I'm making you look at these Hallmark movies like, gosh, these things are awful.
No. It's just funny because I've watched several of them today since I haven't felt great. I haven't left the bed much, and I've watched several of them today. And that was the one I watched today was The Tale of Two Christmases. That was the name of it, and it was a girl who, like, at one time, two different stories were going on. One was if she had caught her plane. And one is if she didn't catch her plane and had to stay back, and what this would have led to, and what the other one would have led to. And one of them was success and the businesswoman, but the relationship was horrible. You know, she didn't like the guy. And then the other one, she made it back home to spend Christmas with her family and fell in love with, you know, the hometown guy.
The guy with the overalls, the lumberjack.
No!
The lumberjack.
Not true. But anyway, and so while you were talking, I was thinking about that and how, you know, and it's just, it's perception of what we think might happen versus what really is happening, and trying to stay grounded in who we are and who God's created us to be in our marriage, and not get caught up in what could have been or what, you know, the alternate reality.
And there's still, and part of the reason why I brought that up is because there's a lot of people that listen to us that they are chasing, and, you know, they're sacrificing their family relationships, they're sacrificing potentially even their marriage, their spouse, because they're chasing after this dream that's not really them.
Yep. And guess what? When you get there, you're still there. You're still the problem. You know, and I mean, seriously, I've talked to a lot of people that they think if I could just get out of this, then it would be better. But you're still there, and your sinful ways and your sinful desires, and, you know, that it's just, sorry, got off on a little tangent there, but just, instead of chasing after somebody that you but desire to be, or something that's not, I don't know, you were saying it so much better than I was. Like, you just want to make sure that you're not chasing after something that God doesn't have for you, that He has you where you are for a reason, and for you to make the most of that time.
All right, so the last one of the kind of negative observation is just the uncomfortable miscommunication that happens in almost every one of them. And the reason why I say it's so uncomfortable, because some people don't care, and some people watch it and they think it's funny. But our oldest son, he gets so uptight because it just makes him cringe that there's this miscommunication, and he's like, why couldn't they have just talked? But in almost every Hallmark movie, it's like, this conversation was overheard, but you didn't really hear all of it, you know. And the whole rest of the movie, you're like, no, that's not what he was saying or she was saying, or, you know, there's always just this weird, uncomfortable miscommunication, and you want to shake them and just go, just tell them the truth, you know, just talk to them, because there's always something that happens that, you know, causes tension, causes this problem, and it's all because of miscommunication. Now, I say all that because that's real life.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
Good grief, that is real life. But at the same time, it's like, just talk. Like, that's the lesson, is that even in marriage, you know, so much of the uncomfortable tension can be avoided if you just talk.
Well, and it's not only just talk, but take advantage of that tool that we've talked about, the heart talk, and use this part that says, what I hear you saying is. Because a lot of times you hear what they're saying, but you didn't hear the heart behind what they were saying. And so for you to say, okay, what I hear you saying is this, is this, and this. How many times have we done that where we've said, no, wait, no, that's not what I said. That's not that wasn't what I meant. Let me try again.
Yeah.
And you say it again. And that's important too. Not just to say, yeah, I heard them, but did you hear what they were really trying to say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. You want me to, I dug around and I found some positives. You want me to throw them out there?
Really, I'm sitting here thinking we could have done an episode each on those 4 things. Seriously.
Probably.
I mean, a podcast each, because there's so much to every one. And not only that, but I have a perfect movie example for each one of them. But I'll spare
I
you.
am sure you do. Well, let me
positives.
Let me throw out the positives. So
Okay.
so positive number 1, and you said it. The reason why you watch it is because they're happy,
Yeah.
and there's a, in this day and age, especially, you just sometimes just need some happiness,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that. The other thing about it is that it's clean. You just
family.
don't. You don't hear. There's no cussing. There's no sex. It's just. And there occasionally there's something that pops up that you're like, well, we don't necessarily agree with that morally or whatever, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's just happy and you feel good after honestly, one of my favorite parts about you watching a movie is at the end of every one of them, you clap and go, yay! And I'm like, I can hear you from the other room. I'm in the den watching a ball game, and all of a sudden your movie's over, and I just hear the yay. So and that's okay. And so I say that too, because sometimes, and I do. There's not really any part of me that wakes up in the morning and goes, I hope we get to watch a Hallmark movie today. I'm just being honest. But I've watched a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And that's because they make you happy. And for me to watch them with you makes you happy. And so it's fine. And I tolerate it. And, usually when I watch them, I'm like, that was really, that really was good. But it never makes me go, I want to watch more and more and more of these. But it does. It makes you feel good. So makes me feel good. So when you watch a Hallmark movie, that's the positive, is that you feel
You're
good.
so sweet.
Okay. The second thing is, we kind of talked about this because it's the opposite of the person trying to become something that they're not, is the show always brings you back to simplicity.
Yeah.
And just a calmer way of life, a simpler way of life, and it's usually the big city girl or guy, and they end up going back to their little small town, but things are just simpler.
Where money doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's
job title doesn't matter.
Right. And
family matters.
And most of the time they're not working.
Yeah.
Which is really...
or they work at the clinic for free.
Yeah. But it's just a simple... it's a reminder of the beauty of simplicity. Yeah. And, we just don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And
it's a reminder of simplicity, and it's also a reminder of family.
Yeah.
It's always going back home, or to where people love you and you're affirmed. And I'm not saying that's what everybody should do, go back home.
Right.
I'm just saying that where you feel loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I hope that our home will always be like that for our boys, and that our marriage will be a place that they want to come back to and feel comfortable with and feel loved in. And I hope that our family is a picture of that.
Yeah. Well, I like the simplicity, and I think that we need more of that in our marriages and our families. Okay. 2 more. One is it always involves someone helping somebody. Like there's always, and it's usually in the romantic relationship. And so, it kind of makes me think about marriage, but in that romantic relationship, one or both of them they're really being selfless and serving. Like they're just going out of their way to help the other person, and there's lots of different things that it might be, but I just like the fact that, the main character is either being helped or they're helping somebody.
Right.
And, family usually gets involved in some way, but especially in that romantic relationship. It's, the romance comes because somebody is serving and giving.
Yeah.
They're being very selfless. Yeah. Which is just obviously that's a great lesson for anybody. All right, I got one more.
Okay, I'm ready.
You want to guess what it could be?
No.
You won't guess this. But I just think that this is great because I think it's. I think when you watch the movies, you should go, why don't me and my spouse do this more? But kissing, that is part of it. But it's just there's just romantic flirting throughout. And part of me thought about it because we were actually watching a Hallmark movie last night with one of our boys and his girlfriend, and we were all watching it together and only fell asleep for just a little bit. But the disclaimer is that I've already seen that one. Y'all made me watch a Hallmark movie I'd already seen before. What in the world?
But it was a top 5.
It was, and it was a good one. But she made a comment. It was hilarious because you had told her mom to watch this particular Hallmark movie. She happened to be walking through and saw some of it. And so you said, well, what part did you see? And she said, it was the part where they were making cookies. And I could not stop laughing because I was like, that's in every stinking Hallmark movie that's made. They make cookies. And I was dying out laughing. But, but the cookies, what always happens with the cookies, they're making cookies and then they start throwing flour at each other, and which is so cheesy. And, I wonder
if anybody ever does that in real life.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you look at and you go, why did we stop? Why do we stop flirting? Yeah. And like, there's a part of me that goes, you watch these things so much, and I wonder, like, does it ever, this is a real question, but does it ever click with you where you go, that looks like really fun, like they're bonding over flirting, kissing, whatever it is, and do you go, I should do that? You just watch the movies, though.
No. Okay, this is
But do you
horrible.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, but this is horrible. Do you know what okay. Yes, I always think, gosh, I should flirt. That would be fun. That's what I think. Oh, that would be fun. But my mind always goes to, God, that's a mess, and they're going to have to clean that up.
Okay.
They have a crew that's cleaning that
but
up
it's
for them.
not.
But no, I do think about that. Honestly, I do. Like,
and then you just don't act on it?
no.
No. I'm just asking because
Rude.
I'm trying to put other people in the same position.
I understand.
And the whole point is that we do it too. Even if it's not with a Hallmark movie, we see something and we're like, man, that's great.
Yeah.
But then we don't act on it.
Yes. No, I know exactly what you're saying. And we are never here to give an impression that we're perfect. And so I'm not like, we do that when we could do that a lot better.
Yeah.
We could do that a lot better. But yes, I do see those things and think, we don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Or we should do that more often. Or, but I think that what makes it different is you have to be able to take something like that and think, oh, that would be fun, and do it. Instead of, oh, that would be fun, why don't we do that anymore? It's a change of perspective. It's just like, I mean, we talk all the time about other people's highlight reels versus ours. But if you can take those moments of, oh, that'd be fun, and do them instead of, oh, that'd be fun, and why don't we ever do anything? We would never have anything like that, and go downhill. Instead going, you know what? Next time I'm in the kitchen, I'm going to throw flour in his face. Or, not that example because there wouldn't be anybody there to clean it up. But something along those lines of let's,
I mean, but even the movie that we were watching last night, it was, she kept saying, I mean, it was the middle of the night, and she was like, let's go for a walk.
Right.
And her fuddy-dud boyfriend was like, oh, no, it's too cold. I wouldn't go out there. Yeah. But then the other guy shows up,
right,
and so...
But and even in that, just knowing what's important to your spouse and being able to do those things, or like, I wouldn't want to go for a walk in the middle of the night when it's snowing either. But if your spouse says, hey, can we go do this? That's that selfless.
It's kind of like, hey, you want to watch a Hallmark movie? Oh, yes, I will watch a Hallmark movie with you. But here
we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You're the greatest. I'm the least.
Shush.
You're the best. I'm the worst.
No, I think that why I'm trying to say the positivity of a Hallmark movie is that you can watch that, and instead of going, oh, this isn't real. Why,
this wouldn't happen.
This would never happen to us. We can't do that. Instead, you watch it and you go, hey, you know what? Like, that's something that we can do and connect and be romantic and fun and have a happy ending, those kind of things. Yeah. So,
and not everybody loves a Hallmark movie. It's not like a girl-boy thing. Like,
oh, I know.
Meredith, here I am naming names. I shouldn't do that. She can't stand a Hallmark movie.
You just called out a friend on the podcast.
Sorry. I usually say I have a friend, but she cannot. She makes so much fun of me but that it's fine. She had it's not a Hallmark thing. That's what I want people to hear. We're not saying go watch Hallmark movies.
Right.
We are saying that there are things that in life that you can say, you know what? That's something that I see that I wish I had in my relationship, and go make it happen.
Yep. It's just like we put this on social media a lot and different ways of saying this, but when you think something good, say it. Mm-hmm. When you think of something good to do for your spouse, go do it.
Yeah.
Don't just think about it.
Yeah.
And it's the same. If you see something, you're watching something on TV, you're listening to a podcast, you hear something, see something, whatever, and it triggers, then go do it.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, that would be great, and then don't do it.
Even if it's as simple as texting your spouse and saying, I love you.
Yep.
Or I appreciate you. Or I'm thankful for you.
Yep.
Let's go walk in the middle of the night.
It is.
In the snow.
It's not really cold. We could, but you don't feel real good, so we'll be all right tonight to not do that.
That's right.
All right. Hey, thank y'all for listening. Hope you enjoyed our take on the Hallmark movies. Go follow Heather on Instagram. And when you go follow her, why don't you go ahead and just follow us on all of our social media platforms. You'll get lots of good marriage tidbits and advice here and there, so make sure you do that. And we will see you guys next week.